It is my honor to invite to the Shulchan this morning one of the great leaders of our congregation, Sisterhood past president, Marjorie Saulson, who is going to share some words of Torah for us this morning.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Dallin. The first prime minister of Israel, David Ben-Gurion, famously said, "If you don't believe in miracles, you're not a realist." Fortunately for Ben-Gurion and for the rest of us who have the blessing in living with the reality of a state of Israel existing in our lifetimes, Theodor Herzl was not only a visionary, he was also a realist. He knew that simply writing a book about a Jewish state was not sufficient to create one. The return to Zion would take organization of the Jews around the world in the diaspora to actually bring that state into being. And in 1897, he created what came to be known as the World Zionist Organization. And he also created the World Zionist Congress, a parliament of the world Jewish people who could have a say in how things were done. So the World Zionist Congress includes the following two national institutions out of the box. Keren HaYisod, the United Israel Appeal, was established by the World Zionist Congress as the official fundraising, no surprise there, fundraising organization for Israel to provide the resources needed to establish a Jewish homeland. And it has branches in 45 countries, and in the United States, its work is performed by our Jewish federations. Well, you know, money is certainly important. But at the end of the day, when you want to create a state, you need land. And so the other initial institution was Keren Kayemet LeYisrael Jewish National Fund, KKL-JNF. It was established in 1901 to purchase land for Jewish settlement and to develop the land of Israel. Now, this JNF that's part of KKL is not the same as our JNF in the United States. It's the original Jewish National Fund and does work on a much larger and more important scale. Today, KKL-JNF is the world's largest nonprofit, and its board of directors is elected by you. We in the United States, when we vote, we have almost 1/3 of the delegates to the World Zionist Congress, which was in effect the parliament of the Jewish people. And it's the largest private landowner in Israel. It owns 13% of the land in Israel. And that land, earns every year $2 billion annually. I guess it really proves that real estate's a good investment. So your vote in Merkaz has a great deal of influence in how that money is spent. So why is this important? Well, in Israel, the only religious institutions that get any money whatsoever from the state are the Orthodox and the ultra-Orthodox ones. And so the only alternative source of income for our conservative Masorti congregations and the Reform congregations, our rabbi staff, buildings, whatever, comes from the decisions made by the World Zionist Organization. So your vote in the World Zionist Congress election determines if funds that advance a pluralistic, democratic vision for Israel, as well as conservative Masorti causes in Israel and worldwide, goes there, or to the pet projects of political extremists. Yet the very clearly stated goal of at least some of the Orthodox parties is to totally eliminate funding for conservative and reform institutions. Not nice. We can't let them get away with that. So in addition to Keren HaYisod and the United Israel Appeal and Keren Kayemet LeYisrael, the third institution was created somewhat later. In 1929, the Jewish Agency for Israel was founded as a government in waiting for the future state. Indeed, its final chairman was David Ben-Gurion. Today, it's best known for fostering aliyah of Jews to the land of Israel and for its shlichut, emissary programs, the shlichim and shinshinim that serve in our congregations, our camps, and our communities as a bridge between Israelis and Jews around the world. In 2002, during the Second Intifada, when it became too dangerous to send our own teenagers to connect with their counterparts in Israel, then Jewish Federation CEO Robert Aronson decided to start a program of bringing Israeli teenagers here to spend the summer in Michigan and at our own Camp Tamarack. Our community's connection to Israel could not possibly be stronger due to this program of the Jewish Agency and our federation. In fact, our senior community shlicha, Lior Zisser Yogev, was among that first group of Israeli students who came from our partnership in Israel to attend Camp Ramah. And in fact, she stated she wanted to get back to Detroit. She loves our community. And she feels that she was chosen for this job because when she went for the interview, she brought with her all of her regalia from Camp Tamarack. On October 9th, while Lior was busily planning for the Solidarity event that was attended by over 3,000 people here at our congregation, Shaarey, Zedek, she got word a few hours before the event that her younger brother, Eli, who attended Camp Ramah in 2010, was one of the first responders and was killed on October 7th. Lior somehow found the fortitude to speak at that event and then flew home to Israel the next day on October 10th to attend her brother's funeral. Since 1948, the Jewish Agency has brought 3 million immigrants to Israel and offers them traditional housing in numerous absorption centers throughout the country. The Jewish Agency has also aided Jews who find themselves in conflict zones. For example, when Russia invaded Ukraine, you may have seen some reporting in the news how Jews were being given sanctuary in Israel. That was the work of the Jewish Agency. The World Zionist Congress appoints half the members of the board of the Jewish Agency according to the results of the elections, meaning your vote for Merkaz in these elections also strengthens conservative Masorti Judaism representation in this important institution. Our presence on the Jewish Agency Board is critical for making sure that our congregations, Ramah camps, and group camps like USY and Noam get their fair share of the Jewish Agency's resources, and that the Jewish Agency maintains an approach to the law of return and aliyah policy, who is a Jew, that is in line with our movement's values, rather than adopting the approach of ultra-Orthodox extremists that only Orthodox Jews can make aliyah. The word merkaz, the Hebrew word, means center, which is a perfect name for the political arm of the conservative Masorti movement. And a vote for Merkaz USA is a vote to make sure the World Zionist Congress and its affiliates use their significant influence and resources to protect democracy and democratic values like gender equality and LGBTQ rights in Israel. For example, Merkaz helped secure funding for key civil society organizations that are on the front lines of the struggle for democracy, pluralism, and equality in Israel, and prevented funding for extremists that would use this money as a piggy bank for their political pet projects, such as possibly new yeshivot that discourage service in the Israel Defense Forces. Merkaz led the charge to pass pro-democracy resolutions, including the spring 2023 resolution that put world Jewry on record as being against the government's push for judicial reform. Merkaz also passed resolutions to promote LGBTQ rights in Israel, as well as to ensure equal representation of women in the national institutions. These resolutions have not only helped shape the vital work of the institutions the Congress controls, but have had major influence on the public discourse in Israel. That's because when people in Israel and in the Israeli government wonder what the Jews in the diaspora are thinking, they look to the World Zionist Congress and the national institutions, specifically the Jewish Agency, under its auspices, for answers. Merkaz's work ensures that the diaspora voice, our voice, before is heard by the Israeli government and the Israeli people. And it's one that believes in pluralism and Israel as a Jewish and democratic state. Merkaz also led the change to create a section of the Kotel that is truly egalitarian, so that families are able to celebrate simchas with all the members of their family, parents, grandparents, other relatives, sharing the beauty and joy of their simcha in that sacred space. Unfortunately, the ratification of the details of that agreement was scuttled when Netanyahu and his right-wing coalition took power. Since representation in the World Zionist Organization is based upon the number of votes from each organization, it is critical that Slate 17 Merkaz gets as many votes as possible in order to ensure that we have as many delegates as possible in the World Zionist Congress when it meets next October. And understand, when you don't vote for a slate, when you don't choose to vote for a slate or bother to figure out how to vote for a slate that aligns with your values, somebody voting for a slate that does not align with your values gets your power. So 3 questions remain. Who is eligible to vote? If you can answer yes to these 5 questions, you are eligible to vote. Number 1, are you Jewish? Number 2, are you 18 or older as of June 30th of this year? Number 3, are you a permanent resident of the United States? Number 4, do you support the existence of the state of Israel as a Jewish state? And number 5, do you have $5 to invest in the cost of covering this, running this election? If you said yes to all of those and did not vote in the last Knesset election, you are eligible to vote in this election. So, question number 2, how do you actually vote? Located on the tables where you will be eating lunch and also on the information table in the lobby are cards with a URL and a QR code indicating where you can vote. Use that information after Shabbat to cast your ballot in support of religious pluralism in a free and democratic state of Israel. Slate 17 Merkaz. And if you're watching this replay of this presentation, the URL to use is Merkaz, M-E-R-C-A-Z, USA, merkazusa.org/Vote Merkaz 2025. That's merkazusa.org/Vote Merkaz 2025. And the third and probably the most important question, how can you personally help to ensure that the voice of Merkaz and conservative Judaism is heard loud and clearly at the World Zionist Congress, in the institutions of the World Zionist Organization, and in Israel itself? Please take home some extra cards with you. There are plenty of them on the table and on the information table in the lobby. And invite your family, your friends, all the Jewish people on your phone, all the people that you meet. I carry a few in my purse. When I went to have my annual physical, I gave my Jewish doctor, who belongs here, a card, and I said, vote. And so that we can together send a strong message. And to sum up the historic consequences of supporting Slate 17 Merkaz, together we can, number one, advocate for the fair and equal treatment of all Jews in Israel. Number two, ensure that funding decisions ensure that our movement gets its fair share of that $2 billion annually to cover the expenses of our movement in Israel and outreach to the United States and around the world. Number three, rebuilding Israel in the aftermath of October 7th and aiding hostages, families and those who've been held hostage. And number four, perhaps most importantly, we are supporting and realizing the Zionist dream of a pluralistic and democratic Israel. The undeniable fact is that we are truly blessed to be living at a time in history when there is in fact the long yearned for miracle of a state of Israel. Let us be worthy of that miracle by voting to ensure that Israel lives up to its greatest potential as a strong, democratic, pluralistic Jewish state of Israel. I thank you for joining me in this urgent and momentous quest. Am Yisrael Chai.